Well, morning, folks. It's hours since I've done videos, and already they're being loaded up for bear on my YouTube channel. It's taking a long while for the system and YouTube to get stuff going because I want to know what we're going to be doing at this point. Oh, yes, we are in for it. The media is dialing it up, not to mention the others are dialing it up more and more. Oh, I got to get this commercial off. Anyway, yes, everyone's running around, panic and fear, and maybe they should. And as I said before, I blame voters. You can quote me, clip the thing off, and probably use it against me in a court of law of Trumplicate law. But I blame the voters for bringing this to happen because they bought the Kool-Aid. They drank the Kool-Aid. They worshipped the Kool-Aid. And now the Kool-Aid will drown them. But hey, who am I to say it? Who am I not to say it? And why did I say it? Because they drank the Kool-Aid. So I will title my stuff, and I'm going to be throwing me into a nice, dark, deep, dank jail. Rats and cockroaches. I said, hey, welcome to my environment right now as it is. And again, I blame voters. I took responsibility, accountability, and transparency for my own actions. I voted the right candidate in, well, I thought was the right candidate in. But the population of the United States wants anarchy. They want authoritative. And they're going to be losing their rights and freedoms because the elitism rules and they drooled. In fact, they're going to get nailed left and right. Matt Gaetz, Attorney General. The guy doesn't have that much legal experience except being a trial lawyer. But he's going to be running the DOJ after getting his ass reamed and investigated and damn near got exposed and thrown out of Congress. But no, he walks out. I wonder what kind of backroom talking it was for this guy. But the people who voted Matt Gaetz in, they believed in his ass. Wait until our freedoms are thrown out the wall. Thrown out. They're going to be tossed out like garbage. Women, bye. Nice knowing you. You are going to be nothing but baby carriers, and that's about it, and homesteaders and homemakers. Jobs, freedom, you don't get any. You don't get a word. Race relations, oh, guess what? Welcome to white America. Should we start doing the Trump salute if there's anything out there? And by the way, it'll cost me a pretty penny just to get a maggot hat if I wanted one. But hey, let's conform to the insanity at this point over here. This is what Jesus would do, wouldn't it? Conform and comply to the Roman Empire who's being built right now upon the backs of the voters who just voted the assholes in to take away and strip away their rights, and here comes the elitism in the worst way. And again, I blame the voters because they allowed this shit to happen in the first place. They did it fair, they did it square, they did it the Democratic way. They voted, they listened, and they voted because they were drunk on the Kool-Aid. And now we've got inexperienced, ineffective people going to be leading these departments. And there's a threat that some of these departments that we depend upon, Department of Justice, Department of Education, thrashed, tossed. Anything regarding investigative power or authoritative power will be reconstituted. Of course, I sound like an alarmist, don't I? I sound like the alarmist that we've come across throughout the years. Did our founding fathers ever decided that this was going to happen when they created it? No, because they never saw it. They never thought of it. They did not imagine this, according to what documentations that we read. But they did understand what an authoritative regime looks like. But the people failed to study and failed history. So now we got history thumping upon them. Probably I'm sounding like one of those liberal woke people saying, "Don't you understand?" Well, you guys understood. You guys chose. So now we get to deal with it. Meanwhile, we've got religion going to be forced down people's throat. We're going to have to make it legal because now we're going to have the law, constitutional law for it. Get enough power in the Republican side for Congress and Senate, and with enough conservative judges to make it legal. So everybody who's got different forms of faith and different forms of religion, you guys are either cast out or you're going to be folded in. Period. Welcome to the world that you voters had voted in. Welcome to Putin's bitches. You think I'm kidding? He's laughing his ass off, and so is Xi. North Korea's having a ball with us, doing a jig. China's smiling like crazy because now they can do whatever they want because Trump's in office. Meanwhile, the rest of the allies that we were supposedly been allied with, United Nations, is going to be falling apart. Why? Because we're not going to be there. Trump will have a way to pull us out. We won't have a say in anything anymore. Now, either we're going to be one isolated country with a lot of military firepower, or else we're going to be a dominating force taking over people left and right. It's only two options. But we're doing it for the good of the country because we need to. And here comes the walls. Not just on the southern border, where Mexico and the United States used to be allies or used to be friends with. No, we got the border wall being built over there by U.S. tax dollars. Mexico's not paying for a damn dime. And if that wasn't bad enough, how about the one that's separating us from Canada? Prime Minister Trudeau, are you listening? This is the collective power and the collective voting of America at this point. You know what they're telling you? The Trumplican Kool-Aid is swimming in our bloodstream right now. And they who are drunk on it, who reinstalled the tyrant and all his minions, well, guess what? They just gave you the bird. So now we get to barter up Canada next. Make us really go into bankruptcy. But no, there's more. Whatever assets anybody else has, we're going to liquidate them and use them for our own. How about that one? I'm thinking of worst case scenarios and even top of worst case scenarios. Because, hey, America wanted it. Democracy was supposed to be it. Democracy gave everyone the power to vote their conscience. And it's supposed to be for the collective good. Well, the good is for the Trump and the party and the aristocracy and an oligarchy at the same time. We get a Trump in the Congress. We get a Trump in the Senate. We get a Trump in the judicial system. We'll get a Trump still sitting in the White House. Guess what, boys and girls? Welcome to oligarchy / aristocracy / authoritative regime. And hey, you guys wanted a nice, safe, secure place. Welcome to the prison. The United States of Trump. And you voted for it. Every one of you stinking Tom, Dick, and Harrys. Oh, I'm sorry, there's no more women, is there? There's only birthing beings. That's about it. Living human slaves in each home, cooking and slaving away, not having dignity, not having respect, not having good health. We'll just drop kick you and get another one. Take away your rights to be free. will take away every slip, every chance of dignity away from you because the voters had determined it. And if you wanted just to have what Christ would have wanted, guess what? Toss that out. Christ wanted swords. Didn't you read the Bible? Put away the sword? Nah, he said pick up the sword. He said pick up the sword and kill him. One of these here days, guys are going to invent a time machine to do that. And then Christianity is not going to be helping out people. It's going to be helping a sword through them. But hey, the voters voted for this shit. And Putin laughs his ass off. And so is every other authoritative regime out there. We just made their case that democracy fails. And the voters cried out, yes, we want it all. We want authoritative regimes. We want to be just like Russia. And we allowed it to happen. We did. November 14th, 2024 at 7:31 in the morning. I'm making all these remarks. I'm loading up my remarks on YouTube. And eventually they'll be considered anti-American. Anti-Trumpism. I won't call it Trumpism. They'll still consider it America because that's what their version of America is going to be. Have you ever seen films or read books or television shows concerning about what dystopia looks like? Hey, it's no longer fiction. We're creating it more and more. We allowed it to happen. On our watch, in our generations, previous generation, current generation, and future generation, we allowed it to happen. We wanted to be safe and secure, but we didn't want our freedoms. We wanted a delusion of freedom, but we're not going to have it. I felt maybe there was safety and security in a camera. Now I'm not quite so sure anymore. And it becomes over here with a camera. How do I know that they're not going to be a Trump enforcer saying, you're against the law, you're against the rules and regulations, you're saying all this stuff against us. We have you on videotape, and now you will be sentenced without going through trial. Due process tossed out. Because now we got the Trumplicans doing this. I think I'm kidding about this crap. When you have the Department of Justice, investigative services, protective services tossed out because of ego, because of whatever drives them, blind ambition for more and more power. We're going to be just like Mother Russia, or Venezuela, or Cuba, maybe even like China. Only China's communist, isn't it? Former China, former communism in North Korea, even worse off in Russia and in Venezuela. And we just joined the ranks because you, the so-called United States of America voters, you American voters, voted this shit in when there was alarms, when there was warnings, when people were telling you, do not touch that button. You did. But yeah, you had a lot of problems concerning about Vice President Harris trying to become president because you didn't like her policies and you think Trump was the easier choice. He made the promises, you drank the Kool-Aid. Now, we're going to reap. We're going to watch slowly. We're not going to have any popcorn because the prices for popcorn are going to be going skyrocketing. We're not going to have, we'll have gas pollutant vehicles out there choking us out left and right. We're going to have more homelessness and people being shuffled around, pushed around. I wouldn't be surprised if we had relocation camps to put people in. All those who said no get to be put into one camp, and they have to fight for survival just like cockroaches do. But hey, you guys wanted it. You guys chose it. Those who drink the Kool-Aid or get to reap the rewards, right? Slowly but surely, your rights and freedoms will be stripped away, and you'll be happy because you drank the Kool-Aid and you got brainwashed over it. And the great American experiment goes downhill. But hey, I'm not saying anything. I deny it all. Because maybe I won't be here at all. Maybe I'll be tossed out on my ass for these remarks. And then forced to deal with the reality. Or else worse, we can deal with a reality that was back in 1860. And 4 years of hell of that one. Trying to fight for whatever reasons they had. Some people want conservatism, and the others wanted progress. Freedom for one particular race. Or was it going to be subjugation and slavery? And the women, abandoning in all sorts. Well, they just get to be baby producers. That's about it. At-home slaves. Rights and freedoms and jobs taken away. News media, Trump owned. We said it before, but it's well too late, isn't it? Because you voted it in. No protesting. It's not going to be allowed because the First Amendment is tossed out. It's going to be tossed out by the Supreme Court. It's going to be tossed out by the lower courts, appellate, then the Supreme. States will do their own little thing out there. Worst case scenarios. Well, we kept saying it, but nobody bothered to listen to, so now we got it. Now we're going to have candidates out there who claimed that there was weaponization. Now they're going to do the weaponization. And we didn't buy it. We didn't want to buy it. We thought it was the deep state, so now guess what? The deep state's here. You just put in the deep state. They warned you. Warned you about themselves. Did you buy it? Oh, yeah. Bought a hook, line, suckered. How was that taste of the Kool-Aid? Sickeningly sweet. But yeah, the pundits of all sorts will try to pick at scabs. Scabs on themselves and on everybody else trying to get a news story going on. They're going to see how dangerous this stuff was and eventually take it out one by one. Bye, media, television, print, gone, history. Digital format, gone, history. There will be only Trumplican TV. Be that kind of mentality. And you, voters, dare I say it, welcome to dystopia that you wanted to stay the hell away from, but you couldn't because you chose it. Despite all the information given to you, all the warnings. Don't blame me. You guys wanted it, now you got it. Enjoy it. Because now we got the dystopia future we have. We got the building blocks for it because it was already installed a long time ago. A dark passage in what used to be the United States of America. All you'll worship the red, white, and blue and think it's going to be the absolute cloth to wear. And don't even bother to understand what the meaning of it was. Why they fought. No, that'll get disproven. It's all liberal and wokeism. Of course, we did have a king and a parliament, but they didn't give a shit about the people. That's why we fought and rebelled. And for several years, we turned the countryside into a bloody mess. Broke as hell, subjugated to economic forces that tore apart everybody, from the soldier down to the commoner. And the weak-ass Articles of Confederation gave more power to the states, and we couldn't control the Fed. We couldn't control the banks or the lenders or give any protection to it. Now the states are going to have it all. Same thing like what happened with the Articles of Confederacy. It's no wonder we had to turn the whole countryside into a bloodbath from 1860 to 1864. And then the Reconstruction for about, 10, 20 years. Get another generation out there to grow up, hate people left and right, put on sheets, scare the crap out of people, lynch people. And that resentment still goes on to this day. And we just fortified it because you voters wanted it. You voters wanted this kind of chaos and confusion. Well, guess what? Remember what happened back in 2017 through 18? We didn't get laws passed. That's not much anyway. Denver got out of debt. Threw the world's currency into chaos. Nothing substantial came out of that particular 2 years. Till the midterms. And then everything else turned out to be a royal fight. Were you happy? Were you happy that happened? Did you sleep through it? You must have. You guys are all in comas. Because you voted the same shit in the first place. So now we get to deal with it. So yes, now I blame. I blame. And the ones who courted the chaos and confusion, they loved what happened on January 20th. They loved it. And we had January 6th kicking in. That day to me will live in infamy. Because now we're in trouble. 2021. After we had Biden elected and they were certifying the counts, one last massive hurrah to storm the Capitol, hurt and kill people in the process. Damn near destroyed Congress. But hell, it was only Antifa and Black Lives Matter only, wasn't it? Didn't you see the shirts and the signs out there? There was no one chanting of doing any lynching of people. There were no gallows created. It was all peaceful, don't you understand? They marched in with their frilly flowers and their signs and smiling all over the place. It was a peaceful transfer of power they only wanted. It never happened. There was no Trump on the outside egging anything else, egging anybody else on. It didn't happen. The recordings were faked. It was all artificial intelligence. Just like the moonshot was faked on in a movie studio. That didn't happen. It was a peaceful transfer of power. No one of law enforcement got killed, or even the protesters. There are no arrests except false arrests. Don't you know about this? It's all liberal and wokeism. Don't you understand that? This is what Christ would have wanted. A Christian nationalist country. Isn't it glorious? And it doesn't matter if there's any other religious outfits out there. Any faith. No, there's only one faith. A Christian nationalist. There's only one Bible. The Trumplican Bible. There is no God but the Trumplicans. The power that they have, and therefore you either stick with them or you're against them. And if you're against them, well, I'm sorry about you. You no longer have any due process. You're no longer Americans. I don't care if you got lineage or not. Get away. We don't want your kind here, no matter who and what you look like. If you're not a Trumplicant, you're nobody. Go away. Maybe Canada will take you. Maybe that good-for-nothing Canadian Prime Minister will take your ass. Oh, hell, we'll just throw you over the Mexican border, regardless of your color of skin or anything else. Let the Sinaloa cartels out there welcome you with open arms while we put up the border and keep dividing and subdividing everybody until there's nothing left. But hey, you voters wanted this shit. You voters wanted this shit. You wanted it. You voted it in. So now we get to deal with how many years and how many decades of this bullshit? But hell, you wanted it. Where is there protesting? You're not allowed to protest anymore. Your First Amendment rights have been taken away. You no longer have it. Hey, you major and minor media guys out there, your history. You either fall in line with the Trumplican Party or else, because the voters have decided. Was Aristotle shaking in his bootstraps when he saw Greece having nearly the same thing going on? A city-state like that being folded in. The start and the pearl of democracy. The Greeks would weep at us. The founding fathers of this country would weep. They'll be pulling out their hair, tearing apart the wigs, cursing and cussing as no decorum had ever heard of. Because our voters in this timeline, in this time zone, in this year, decided America's gone. I hope you feel happy with yourselves. Wear that MAGA cap proudly in the shirts. Because the next thing I'll be saying is time switching back to 1930s. How Europe was. Still recovering from World War I. And how one country was denied arms and weaponry. Said, screw you, Europe. Screw you, United States. Screw everybody. We're taking everybody else on. And guess what? They did. Blitzkrieg after blitzkrieg. Anybody who wasn't of a religion or of a faith or skin color or speech or anything similar, well, they became the enemy, didn't they? And we saw the evidence. We got photographic evidence of it. Films, documentation, everything. But people keep still denying it because it didn't happen to them, did it? Almost an entire race of people, European descent, almost wiped out. Some of them denied entry into the country of the United States of America during those days. Of course, we had to have a country made by ripping another country apart to have a state of two beings in there, Palestinian and Jewish, which will be called Israel. See what's happening in that country. And in Middle East territories. No one wants to study history anymore. Nobody wants to understand it because history is being rewritten by everyone else, so we lose it. We lost it. If we actually had a library such as the great Library of Alexandria, we would have a Caesar to bring this shit down. Guess what? We got Caesars all over the place burning shit down. Rewriting history to suit them. And anything that was going to be original, denied or buried alive like the worms they are. You think I joke? You think I bellyache? Maybe. I'm supposed to, as a Christian, sit back and do nothing or say nothing because I have to allow it to happen. I cannot pick up the sword. If you look at it as an anagram, it's words. And this is what's happening. But hey, we're supposed to be abiding by and not protesting, right? India, did that actually happen? One gentleman trying to demonstrate what peaceful, nonviolent demonstration is to tell the people, look at our pain, look at our suffering, because we have oppression from an outside source. Then after they actually reclaim their country, tore itself apart. Pakistan and India. And the hatred still continues to this day. People forget. People don't want to remember. People don't want to listen to. So now we're in for it. Now we're in for it. But hey, who am I to say against you? I guess I'm a nobody.